Two people attend the exact same party on the exact same evening. One talks constantly, honestly, filling nearly every single silence with something new to say. Their weekend plans. Their opinion on absolutely everything discussed. Their entire life story, told in remarkable detail to anyone who happens to stand nearby long enough. By the end of the night, most people can barely remember a single specific thing they actually said. The other person speaks rarely, briefly, only when something genuinely feels worth actually saying out loud. The next morning, people are still talking about them specifically, wondering exactly who they actually were. This happens far more often than most people ever consciously notice happening around them clearly. Talking constantly feels genuinely comfortable in the actual moment, honestly, like real connection is happening between two people. But it quietly closes something important down completely, almost immediately, without either person fully realizing it. There's nothing left to actually wonder about anymore, once everything's already been said out loud directly. No gap remaining. No real mystery left over. Just information, fully delivered and completely used up already. Most people fill silence anxiously, honestly, out of genuine discomfort rather than any real, deliberate choice being made on their part consciously. A pause happens in conversation, and it immediately feels awkward, uncomfortable, something urgently needing to actually be fixed right away without delay. So they rush directly to fill it, with more words, more explaining, more unnecessary detail nobody genuinely asked for in the first place at all. Every single one of those extra words quietly closes another small door that curiosity could have otherwise walked calmly through instead, given the chance. Curiosity, at its actual core, genuinely requires a specific gap, an identifiable space between what someone currently knows and what they honestly want to know next about you. Tell someone absolutely everything about yourself immediately, all at once, and that specific gap closes completely, almost instantly, with nothing genuinely left over to wonder about afterward at all. Tell them just enough instead, deliberately and thoughtfully, and that gap stays open, quietly, pulling their attention back toward you again and again, almost involuntarily, without them fully realizing why. Think of someone going through a genuinely important job interview, sitting nervously across from someone deciding their entire professional future. Every single question gets answered with far more detail than actually necessary, filling every single natural pause completely and immediately. The interviewer nods politely, honestly, but something quietly starts happening throughout the conversation. There's genuinely nothing left to actually ask about anymore. No real curiosity remaining. Just a complete, exhausting transcript of someone's entire life story, delivered all at once. Now think of someone else entirely, sitting in that exact same interview chair, facing genuinely similar questions from the exact same interviewer. They answer briefly and clearly, then stop talking completely, comfortable with the natural silence that actually follows their answer. The interviewer, quite noticeably, leans in slightly, asking a genuine follow-up question they hadn't actually planned to ask beforehand. This particular candidate got remembered clearly, specifically, days later, when the actual final decision was finally being made. There's real, documented psychology behind exactly why this specific pattern works so reliably and consistently, across nearly every situation like it. Researchers studying curiosity directly call it the information gap theory, and it's genuinely fascinating once you actually understand how it functions. Curiosity peaks specifically when someone becomes clearly aware of a gap in their own knowledge, a specific, identifiable question they suddenly want an answer to. It doesn't actually peak when someone knows absolutely nothing at all about a given topic. It peaks precisely when they know just enough to genuinely want considerably more. This is precisely why a person who reveals everything about themselves immediately becomes considerably less interesting over time, not more, despite what most people would probably assume beforehand. There's no gap left remaining to actually wonder about anymore. No genuine mystery pulling anyone's attention back toward them afterward. Meanwhile, someone who speaks selectively, briefly, and with real intention creates dozens of small, natural gaps throughout an ordinary conversation. Each one quietly pulls people back in, wanting genuinely more from them specifically. There's also a real, related principle happening here, one closely tied to genuine scarcity itself in nearly every meaningful sense. Words, exactly like anything else people generally consider valuable, become considerably more valuable specifically when they're actually rare and carefully chosen instead. Someone who talks constantly gives their words away freely, without much real thought behind it, and people quietly stop paying close attention to any single one of them specifically. Someone who speaks rarely makes every single word actually count for something, and people naturally start listening far more closely as a direct result. This isn't actually about becoming cold, distant, or deliberately withholding information from people around you out of some manipulative strategy. It's about recognizing something most people never genuinely consider carefully. Constant talking often comes directly from real anxiety, a nervous need to fill every single silence immediately out of pure discomfort. Selective speaking comes from something else entirely, something calmer and considerably more intentional. Confidence that the actual silence itself doesn't genuinely need to be fixed or filled right away. So how do you actually start practicing this specific skill yourself, starting today, in your own everyday conversations? You begin by simply pausing before actually answering any question directed at you, even just for one brief, genuine moment first. That small pause alone does something surprisingly powerful in the actual conversation happening. It signals real thought behind what you're about to say next, instead of pure automatic, anxious reaction happening instantly without any consideration at all. Give short, complete answers, then genuinely stop talking afterward, resisting the strong urge to immediately keep adding more unnecessary detail on top of it. Someone asks what you did this specific weekend, casually. Answer honestly and briefly, then let the natural silence that follows simply exist comfortably in the room without rushing to fill it. It will feel genuinely uncomfortable at first, almost unbearably so, especially if you're someone who's used to constantly filling every single pause automatically without thinking about it consciously. Let genuine questions come to you naturally instead, rather than volunteering every single piece of information about yourself before anyone's actually asked for it directly. If people genuinely want to know more about something specific, they'll naturally ask you a direct follow-up question themselves, almost automatically. That specific dynamic alone creates real engagement, actual back-and-forth conversation, instead of one long, uninterrupted monologue delivered entirely by just one single person the entire time. Practice sitting comfortably with natural silence in conversation, deliberately, specifically when it genuinely starts to feel slightly awkward at first attempt. That exact discomfort is honestly just an old, deeply ingrained habit resisting real change, nothing more serious or dangerous than that. Silence isn't actually dangerous or embarrassing in any real sense, despite how it might genuinely feel internally in that specific moment it happens. It's simply unfamiliar territory for most people who've spent years automatically rushing to fill it without ever really questioning why they felt the need to. Over time, something genuinely important shifts inside your everyday conversations, quietly and steadily, the more you actually practice this specific approach consistently. People start leaning in slightly more than they honestly used to before, genuinely curious about what you're actually going to say next. Your words start carrying real, tangible weight in the room, precisely because there simply aren't quite as many of them being offered freely. You haven't actually become mysterious or secretive in any negative sense whatsoever. You've simply stopped giving away every single thing immediately, letting real curiosity naturally do the rest of the work for you instead. So the next time you feel that familiar urge to fill an awkward silence with more words, immediately and automatically, pause instead for just one honest moment first. Let the actual silence exist comfortably, without rushing anxiously to fix it right away. Speak briefly, clearly, and with genuine intention, then stop talking completely, on purpose, without adding anything further unnecessarily. Speak so little it genuinely makes people curious about you specifically, instead of exhausted by constant, unnecessary detail. That's not withholding anything from anyone in any real sense. That's simply leaving quiet, natural room for real curiosity to actually exist and grow.